Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Betrayed and Becomes Koragg the Night Wolf special movie. Before we start, please go support DekuNight in the Black for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Prologue. Before starting, I will point out that Issei has a brother and the events after the Kyoto fight and before the fight against Koragg Bale, so let's begin. Iodo Akari, by the way, he has 6 pawn pieces in Issei too. Kyoto School Department, I don't remember the name. Issei was in his room looking ahead at the person who is for everyone the perfect boy. Akari Hyodo, his brother, the reason why he says he is the perfect boy is because he had everything. He was Ku's best student in all his subjects. And including sports, he has all the women at the academy crazy about him, even the 3-year-olds. He was the pride of his parents, even the teachers were proud of a student like that. They even had him work on a movie, that is to say. It has everything. Besides, he is the Sikuryuite, being engaged to Ria's Gremory and other girls is not bad. He thinks that Issei was a little jealous of his brother, but what could he do? He confessed to all the girls from the occult club and they all rejected him, saying no. He was his brother and he gave all his effort to impress them, but he could never do anything that caught their attention, so he gave up and decided that after the trip to Kyoto, he would leave the occult club, stop being Ria's Gremory's pawn and move away. To another place away from the Gremory where he would be more comfortable and maybe meet someone. But well, after rescuing Yasaka and solving all the problems that there were in Kyoto, everyone went to their dormitories, but Issei was caught up by his brother, who wanted to talk to him later, and then at around 12 am Akari knocked on the door and came through. Then he told Issei that he will sit down because he wants to tell him something very important. Issei. Well brother, what do you want to tell me that he can't wait until tomorrow, he said a little sleepy. Akari. Well you see Sai, I'm gay, he said seriously. Issei. Just that I could he said to realize what he heard. After a minute of silence, Issei asked. Issei. Can you repeat that? I don't think I heard correctly, he said, still incredulous. Akari. I'm gay, he said again. Issei. I see, give me a minute, he said calmly as he gets up. Akari. Yes of course, he said to see Issei going towards a window. Issei. You see, he said shouting and with great joy. Akari saw it and asked. Akari. You're done, he said, looking at Issei. Issei. Yes, and I'm sorry, that's because I needed to do that, you know, a personal relief, he said with a smile. Akari. I understand, he said with a smile. Issei. But since when are you gay or homosexual or whatever you want to call it, he said intrigued. Akari. Well, he started from high school the first year, he said to start counting. After a later explanation. Issei. I understand that you didn't say it for our parents, but okay, I'm really sorry, brother, he said sadly. Akari. But why? He said confused. Issei. I'm your brother, I should have known that you needed my help or support so you could tell what you felt and the pressure you had to be perfect, he said a little sad. Akari. Hey, it's not your fault, I was the one who hid my sexuality, so don't worry, the bad thing is telling the truth after so much time, he said with a sad smile. Issei. True, things will not be the same after you tell the truth to our parents. Smile. Oh damn, what worries me now that I think about it is what Ria's parents or the underworld will say when they understand each other, he said surprised. Akari. Whatever they say, I don't care anymore, I'll stop hiding something that I'm not, he said with determination. Issei. I understand, and by the way, since we are revealing secrets, I want to tell you 2 things. First, I will leave the occult club, that is, I will stop being Ria's pawn, he said seriously. Akari. Why? He said surprised. Issei. Why can't I be where the women I fall in love with are and not feel a little pain about that, so I want to leave to start from scratch. Of course I will go to the academy, only not to Ku, but to another one, he said seriously and then more relaxed. Akari. Ha, well, I'm glad you have a plan, but since Ria's will just let you go, I don't think she'll let you go easily, he said with a smile. Issei. Well, that's the second thing I want to talk to you about, he said while making a magic circle and taking out a sword. Akari. But what the hell is that sword? Where did you get it? He said while looking at the back in amazement. Issei. Well, first, calm down and listen, it took a few hours, although for me it was years, he said, a little tired. Akari. I don't understand, he said confused. Issei. Well, it's complicated, do you remember that before we returned to the hotel each of us went for a walk around the city one last time, he said seriously. Akari. Yes, I remember, but it was only 4 hours, why do you say it was years, he said confused. Issei. Well, when I was walking down the street looking at the landscape I felt a presence that called me, he said to start remembering. Flashback. Issei was on the street in Kyoto when suddenly a voice called him. Hey boy, if you are here, said a thick voice. Issei saw that he was a very old vendor with a hood who was selling items at a stall, so Issei went to call him. Old man. I have something for you, he said to take out a box. Issei took the box and asked. Issei. Sir, why give me this box, he said confused. Old man. You will soon know, he said with a smile. Issei was confused, but he heard a noise behind him to see what it was, and when he looked at the old man again he had disappeared, there was only him, and when he opened the box he found a sword, so he took it. When he did it all he turned white and appeared in a forest, then suddenly someone spoke. "So you are my successor," said a thick and imposing voice. Issei looked at where the voice came from, and saw a man in impressive armor. "Issei. Who are you?" he said confused. "I am Koragg the Wolf Knight and you will be my successor." End of flashback. Ikari. After it happened, "Don't leave me with the intrigue, brother," he said a little excited. Issei. "Well, I'll just tell you that he told me a little about his past and that he had a power that only someone worthy could have and that the place where we were was a type of pocket dimension that until I can defeat it, I couldn't get out of there, so he trained me and we fought to make me stronger and after that he gave me his powers and I came back here 4 hours later, but for me it was 400 years," he said seriously. Ikari. "So you are 416 years old?" he said confused. Issei. "Yes and no, since the training was more physical and mental, plus I couldn't age in that place, so I'm only 16 years old for now," he said seriously. Ikari. "I see, but what does this have to do with Rias?" he said seriously. Issei. "Well, when I received the powers the pawn pieces came out of my body, so I'm free, I just have to tell Rias," he said seriously. Ikari. "I see, but you won't miss her when you leave, besides now that she knows the truth, maybe she will look for you," he said seriously. Issei. "They had their chance, but they never saw the love I had for them, so it's too late to turn back," he said sadly. Ikari. "I'm sorry, brother," he said, trying to console Issei. Issei. "Well, let's go to sleep," he said looking at the time. Ikari. "Tomorrow we will return to Ku," he said to go to his room. Issei. "It's going to be a complicated week," he said before going to sleep. Ikari. "That's right, brother, that's right," he said to leave. Chapter 1. After Ikari told his younger brother about his sexuality he felt a little freer, but he still had to tell the girls that he doesn't love them and that he likes men. When he returned to Ku, Ikari was as always with girls who want to talk to him, or Asia, Zenobia and Irina by his side. After he arrived home, Rias and Akeno tried to give him a kiss, but he refused, with the pretext that he was tired and said that he was going to have trouble. Issei looked at that with sadness for his brother, but he had his problem that he had to solve, so he decided to talk to Rias about his resignation. After telling him about the piece he left out, leaving out Koragg's part, he said that he doesn't care if you want to leave, that's fine, it's sad that he's leaving, but it won't stop him, he said in a kind tone. When Issei heard that he felt a pain in his chest, but he didn't flinch and thanked her for everything she did for him and said that tomorrow he would leave the house to take a personal trip. Well, he left the pawn pieces on the living room table to go to your room. Rias felt a little sad when she saw the pieces, but she also felt relief because although Issei was a good boy, he was very weak. If he died she would not forgive him, and also now she could try to take the next step with her love. Ikari. Why does he always call her President in instead of her name? He also never kisses her, and even when she wants to kiss him, she refuses. So he thought that their relationship is missing something, so he will do everything he can to make their relationship flourish like in romantic movies. The other girls thought something similar, although they felt a little sorry for Issei and that his feelings were sincere. They were in love with Ikari and theirs. The next morning Issei and Ikari were walking to Azazel's apartment to explain the situation because after he tells the truth about Ikari's sexuality, nothing will be the same and having an ally wouldn't hurt at all. After arriving at Azazel's apartment and telling him everything about Ikari's sexuality, his reactions were, first, surprise, second, acceptance, third, annoying laughter, and fourth, a little mockery. Then he asked why they chose him to help, and they answered that he had an offer that he could accept if the worst happened, and he listened attentively with a smile. After agreeing on the deal or agreement, if everything turns out good or bad, Azazel would win. What they agreed on was this: if Rias expelled him from her family for some reason, Ikari would join the fallen, or if Rias did not expel him from the family, Issei would have to do a favor, whatever. Of course he would give them a temporary shelter until things calmed down, because the news that Rias Gremari's fiancé was homosexual or the Securite is homosexual brought many bad and good things. While Issei and Ikari were walking, Issei asked his brother what he told his dragon Celestia about his homosexuality, and he said, Ikari. Drake said that he didn't care that one of the former Securite was bisexual, so he doesn't care as long as he can defeat the target, he said calmly. Issei. Hahaha, anything is worth that damn thing, he said with a smile and laugh. Ikari. Don't say that, he cares about me too, plus he's my partner, so don't insult him, he said a little seriously. Issei. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you or him, he said in a tone of regret. Ikari. Don't worry, he said calmly. Issei. Well, what happened to the one who didn't talk to? Why, I haven't heard him speak since we returned from Kyoto, he said, half worried. Ikari. Nothing, I just don't want to bother him too much, plus he's my partner, it wouldn't be fair to bother him while he's resting, right? He said with a smile. Issei. Oh, I see, great, he said a little sadly looking at the sky. Ikari, who saw that, asked what he was wondering for a while. Ikari. by the way, how are you? He said seriously and worried. Issei. I'm fine, thanks for asking, he said with a fake smile. Hikari. Come on, you know what I'm talking about, he said a little worried. Issei. Sigh. Yes, I understand what you mean and I'm fine, a little disappointed actually, but fine I guess, he said with a fake smile. Hikari. Disappointed? He said curious. Issei. Yes, you know, when you told me that Riaz wouldn't let me go so easily, a part of me was very happy because I thought, even if I'm not the love of her life, maybe she loved me like she loves Kiba and Casper something else. But in the end I'm just a pawn who was there for her when she wanted advice, a friend or someone to talk to, she said with a sad tone in her voice. Hikari. Brother, he said, but Issei continued talking. Issei. Just like Asia, Irina who sees me as a friend, Akeno for someone who can vent when she has doubts about herself, Kaneko and Ravel as her senpai, Zenobia as someone weak who needs training and someone to help her, Roswius as her student, and besides that I was always there for all of them when they needed me most. But when I said I was leaving the Gremory clan no one said that I would stay or did anything, and that hurts you know, he said with a broken and sad voice. Hikari puts his hand on Issei's shoulder to tell him. Hikari. I'm sorry brother, you needed my support and I didn't give it to you, I'm so sorry, he said sadly. Issei. Don't worry anyway, you had to endure a lie for a long time and now you will be free of that weight, he said smiling. Hikari. Yes, but as the saying goes, freedom has its price as well as its consequences, he said seriously. Issei. True, but you have a brother who will support you in anything, he said with a smile. Hikari. Brother, I love you very much, but I don't like incest, he said jokingly. Issei. I'm not referring to that damn support, he said blushing. Hikari. Hahaha, your face is priceless, hahaha, he said and continued laughing. After that they arrived home, luckily there was no one so Hikari prepared a bag, put away his clothes and other things, and then called Riaz and told her to call his brother, his parents and the other leaders to tonight. While Issei called her parents to see them at a hotel to break the news, the plan was this. First I would talk to the Gremory girls and the leaders at home in person, telling them the whole truth, and then I would talk to her parents in a more private hotel. That was the clear plan, I was ready for the consequences. And to finish this quickly I'll summarize it a bit, but the Gremory and the leaders. After Issei, she cooked dinner, and everyone went to the room where Hikari said what she had to say about her homosexuality and not like that but hey want an idea. The leaders' reaction was neutral, they were not angry or anything, that seemed strange to Hikari and Issei, except for Azazel who already knew. While the girls were in total shock, it is as if their world and dreams were destroyed by a few simple words, while some try to get out of the shock and assimilate that it is a nightmare. Zeodicus was angry, so without thinking he launched an attack on Hikari which destroyed part of the building. Michael, Serziches and Azazel were worried about Hikari, because even though he was the Securiute, that attack was too quick to react, but when the mood settled, they saw a guy in armor who released a surprising power that made the girls react. And behind him was the Hikari with the balance breaker activated. Issei Wolf. Are you okay brother? Hikari. Yes, and that's the power you told me. Wow, it's great, he said, impressed. Serziches. Wait, are you Issei? He said impressed by the power and armor. Issei. Yes and goodbye, he said to leave through a hole that Ria's father made. Hikari followed him. After that everyone was surprised not only by Hikari's sexuality, but by the power that Issei now possessed. But Hikari and Issei's parents, when they arrived at the hotel they went to talk to her parents to give her the same news. Their reaction was not very different. Hikari and Issei's father cried out loud, saying that he could have done this to the family among other things. His mother was in bed trying to analyze what happened or where she failed. After a very hard argument, the father of the two said that he did not want to see him again at home or in life. But those words, Hikari left the room followed by Issei. After all, they went to Azazel who was waiting for him in his office to give the two a room. After that the news of the Securiute being homosexual became public throughout the underworld, while in the human world the same thing also happened, only at school. The men were happy because they had one less rival, and the girls were heartbroken, but the most affected were those from the occult club who were very depressed for two reasons, one was because of Hikari and the other because of Issei who was missing. The thing about Hikari hurt him a lot, they loved him so much, and he lied to him all this time, and they tried to find him because he played with his feelings, so all the Gremory girls searched his room and saw that he took all their things or at least the essentials, so well they searched and saw that behind the desk there was a notebook, and when they opened it, they saw that it was Hikari's diary. They all went to the big bed and started reading the newspaper. The more they read it, they understood why he lied to them, or rather why he lied to himself. He loves them, but he tried to make him like it, but he couldn't besides the pressure of being the one. Perfect son, the perfect student and all of that had him under a lot of pressure, plus they also jumped on top of him trying to conquer him, so they were also to blame. But she also missed Issei because she needed his company, although he is no longer part of the Gremory entourage, they were friends, right? I don't know that I would leave his side just because he doesn't reciprocate his feelings, right? That's what the girls asked themselves sadly. After a week Akari appeared at the occult club. When the girls saw him they were happy but still felt uncomfortable until Riaz got up from his desk and went in front of Akari. When he was in front of him, he gave him a slap that surprised everyone except Akari. Then Riaz told him everything she had in store to give him another slap, and after that she hugged him to tell him that she forgave him and that part of it was his fault. After that the others also hugged him and were glad that they were okay. Then Asia asked, "Asia? Akari-san, where is Issei-kun?" said, seeing that he came alone. Akari. "Well, my brother left and never came back," he said sadly. "Riaz? What do you mean?" she said worriedly. Akari. "Well, I'll tell you," he said seriously. Unknown place. A young brown man with a backpack was getting off a bus looking at a small town. Issei. "Sigh, good, new city, new school, new life," he said to walk towards the unknown. Episode 2. A year had passed since Issei had left his parents' house and the girls who lived with him, and many things had happened. For example, the Op-I Dragon show after one season was cancelled because parents didn't want kids to see a gay hero on TV because it might confuse them mentally for the age the show was broadcast on. Also, the girls who rejected Issei were looking for him because in the end they realized that he was important in his life, although they were the ones who rejected him because they didn't have him. They realized his mistake and would like a chance to be together. Issei was also wanted by the Mayu and other families. The reason was because of the strange power he possessed and the demonstration that he showed the last time he saw himself in the underworld. If you were wondering, the last time it was seen was when a huge creature of approximately 20 meters appeared out of nowhere, where Tannen and Akari along with Great Red fought against it, but due to carelessness, Tannen was knocked out and Akari was suppressed when he thought that everything. Issei was asked to appear, transforming into Koragg to go fight the monster, where everyone thought he couldn't do anything until he suddenly said with a shout, "You'd better catastros," so that suddenly a magic circle appeared and a giant horse appeared. Then he said "You'd better," so that another magic circle would appear and he would jump on it so that it would grow just like the horse. Everyone was shocked by that. Then Issei got on the horse and attacked the monster, leaving it badly injured. When the monster fell, Issei told his brother Akari that, "Brother, the battle has just begun. This is not the time to rest, and tell Azazel that we are hand." After that the monster that had recovered a little was attacking Issei, but he with an attack of his sword destroyed the monster as if it were nothing to return to its original size and disappear. Since then the entire Inflamundo has been looking for him thanks to a DevilTube video in which the echo was signed but without audio because the person who signed it was so far away. The girls asked Azazel what was the favor that he owed them, and that was at hand according to Issei. After an explanation the girls were not very happy why he had important information to find Issei, and he did not say it, but it was excluded that it was a promise from men. That explanation did not please the women who look for the brunette very much either. This is how a year would have passed after the Trihixa and the rest. Current time, a brunette and a white-haired man in a cafe chatting a little about their lives. Issei. "And brother, how is the relationship with our parents currently?" he said with a calm look. Akari. "Well, I made things right with our parents, but it's still a little uncomfortable to be a united family again, especially if there's a member missing from the family," he said while looking at Issei. Issei. "Don't even try. I'm not going to return Kur Palomeno's home, plus I always send a message to you so that I can pass it on to them," he said half seriously. Akari. "Yes, but only to inform them that you are alive, not to tell them how you are or something like that," he said sarcastically. Issei was going to answer, but a maid asked him something. Maid. "Sorry for the delay, my beloved customers who want to order," he said with a smile. After ordering a cutter, each one continued with their talk. Issei. "Well, changing the subject, how are you at school and the girls?" he said while taking a sip of his cup. Akari. "At school, well, I guess, although at first it was complicated for a few months that bothered me, now things calmed down, but there is always some idiot who continues with the same thing of bothering me for my sexuality, but only words. And the girls, if you mean the Gremory and others, are desperately looking for you. It seems that in the end they realized what I felt for you," he said calmly. Issei looked at him and said, "Issei. I don't think so. It seems to me that they are only looking for comfort from the person who was there for them, a person who got married waiting for an opportunity to love people who should not have fallen in love with them," he said sadly as he lowered his head. While Issei and Akari were talking to some maid and they had heard what Issei said, and although he did not know the situation, he felt sorry for the brunette. Issei. "But well, I can't do anything to change that, just keep going," he said, raising his head and ending his cutting. Akari. "True, but well, I also have to tell you that other families and women are looking for you, so be careful because they are not very friendly when they want something," he said worried. Issei. "What do you mean?" he said confused. Akari. "I don't know their names, but I have a photograph of these two girls that you have to take care of yourself," he said seriously while looking for the photos. Issei. "Wait, I don't understand why you should take care of me and why they would look for me," he said confused and a little scary. Akari. Well, I better explain to you, these families are women, they are actually two girls who are demigoddess sisters, who are actually daughters of Hades and Athena, he said seriously. Issei. Wait a moment, shouldn't you be goddesses, why are they daughters of two gods? He said confused. Akari. In theory yes, but it's not that easy because there was a detail that not even the Olympic gods noticed, he said with a half-mocking tone. Issei. Seriously, and which one? He said confused. Akari. That taken the body of mortals and that it was found in the same place, he said sarcastically. Issei. Huh? He said confused. Akari. I better explain it to you in detail. The thing is like this, Athena decided to party since Zeus lost her control and decided to have an affair with a mortal but lose her virginity, so she took the body of a mortal woman. While Hades was bored, of course he manages the underworld, but he is also an Olympian god, why only Zeus can do whatever he wants, so he took the body of a young mortal man. To sum it up, they met and well, they did what they wanted all night long, if he knows who the other one was. The next morning when the bodies were left, they realized who the other was and they promised never to talk about it until it was important, and that was what they did until recently. He said seriously. Issei. What happened? He said surprised. Akari. Well, when the woman and the man woke up, they saw that he was in bed naked and with a hell of a hangover, so they thought it was a drunk or something like that. The point is, after a while, this woman became pregnant with twins and the man, seeing that she was his because of the DNA, married that woman. The girls had all the luxuries until they were 16 when their parents kicked her out of the house so that she could fend for herself because she was already at her age, and why it was shocking. Two of his father's collector cars, a Jaguar and a Ferrari, I think, he said half doubtfully. Issei. What were rich girls like Ria's? He said with doubts. Akari. Yes, her father was a billionaire and his mother was the same, but that's not the important thing, she said with a smile. Issei. Brother, don't be angry, but you can get to the point of this, I'm getting fed up, he said a little angry. Akari. I understand. Well, the point is that after that Hades and Athena appeared in front of the parents and girls telling them the truth and awakened their demigoddess powers, telling them to look for someone who would train them to master their powers, and that if they want more power, they need a powerful man at their side. There is you in it, he said with a smile. Issei. Wait, why would I be a candidate for two girls that I don't even know, he said a little upset. Issei. The last thing was a lie from the girl's parents who said if she wants to recover her luxuries, she has to bring at least one strong man and marry him, and since I am gay, you would be the most reliable candidate for this. Too crazy, he said with a smile. Issei. Why do you say they are crazy exactly? He said worried. Akari. Well, you see, according to the rumors I heard, he doesn't give up on anything, and to get what they want they will do whatever it takes, plus he has a very bittersweet character, he said seriously. Issei. Tell me something, her nickname is the goddess of literature and the maiden of poetry, he said nervously. Akari. How do you know, he said confused. Issei. Before you answer, can you show me the photos of the two girls to be sure, he said with a pale face. Akari took the photo of the two girls. When Issei saw the photographs, the color drained from his body and he said, Issei. Of all the women in the universe, why did it have to be these two? He said nervously. Akari. Do you know them? He said confused. Issei. Come, I'll explain it to you on the way, he said while calling a maid and paying the bill. Just when I was going to leave, two girls dressed as maids entered the premises to meet Issei, and when they saw him they said, Issei Winjining no. Issei. Sayori, Pandora, he said surprised. Akari. Miss, give them another table, but for four. Why will this be fun, he said with a smile. Chapter 3. Issei and Akari were sitting at a table waiting for Sayori and Pandora to finish working so they could talk to them, but before that Akari asked. Akari. How do you know bittersweet girls? He said curiously. Issei. It's a funny story, and by the way, why didn't bittersweet girls have other nicknames? Akari. Because that nickname suits him better, and why is the author too lazy to write so much, he said and thought with a smile. Issei. I see, well, to begin with I had the bad luck of seeing them half naked, he said with a sad face. Akari. Oh. Issei. I better explain to you, when I entered this high school I didn't know where the facilities were, so I went to the gym to look for a teacher, instead of going to the office. Akari. Why did you go to the gym and not to the office like a normal person? Issei. Because I was new to high school and I didn't know where the address was, plus I could see the girls in gym clothes, he said smiling. Akari. I see. Issei. But getting back to the topic, when I got to the gym I opened the door and most of the girls were there getting changed. Akari. You went looking for bronze and found gold, he said with a smile. Issei. You can say yes, but well, what happened is that the locker rooms were being repaired due to a small fire due to some cables, so they changed there at that time, and among the girls were Sayori and Pandora, he said seriously. Akari. I understand that they met, but how do you know their names and they know yours? He said confused. Issei. After that incident they gave me the nickname Issei the lucky pervert, he said sadly. Akari. What a good nickname, and why did they give it to you, he said while trying not to laugh. Issei. Why wasn't I expelled from school for seeing the girl in her underwear, and if you were wondering, in that school, they are very severe with perverts, or at least with men, he said with a little fear. Hikari. Why? Issei. Why was it an all-female school before, but it became co-ed shortly after a year, he said seriously. When Hikari was going to ask something else, Sayori and Pandora approached and focused on the same table. Sayori. Well, now tell me, what are you doing here with Issei Ryute, she said aggressively. Issei. First you say hello, right? He said calmly. Pandora. Right, sorry to my sister. Hi, I'm Pandora and this is Sayori. Sayori, now answer before we kill you, she said with a murderous look. Issei. Well, I guess I'll tell you, he's my brother and we're here to have coffee and talk, but why do you work here? He said confused. Pandora. That doesn't matter to you, and why are you here so far from your territory? He said curiously. Hikari. It's complicated, he said seriously. Sayori. We heard you, she said with a smile, she will show off. Issei. Before answering, answer a question, he said calmly. Pandora. I told you that you don't care, she said, annoyed. Issei. Not that, what I want to know is if you really are a demigoddess or not. Sayori and Pandora looked at each other and then began to murmur among themselves to respond. Sayori. Well, we will explain it to you, but it will be summarized and then explain to us what they do here, okay? Hikari and Issei. Okay. Pandora. I explained to you that we are not demigoddesses, but we do have the powers of Greek gods. Sayori. You see, a long time ago the Greek gods chose champions for a game and gave a little of their power to each champion they chose. Pandora. To make a long story short, each champion had a bit of the power of the gods Zeus, Ares, Athena act. Every time a champion died, the power was chosen a new wielder. That is how the celestial dragons. Issei. And you are the new generations of champions, he said in amazement. Sayori. You can say yes, but we don't serve the gods, they don't care about recovering that power, and I don't think they can either, he said with a smile. Pandora. Well, we already told it on our part, now you, what are you doing here, and why does the Issei Ryute have to leave the territory of the demons to see his brother? He said, it would be. Hikari. I'll tell you, he said to start counting. 3 Doritos later. Sayori. Yes, I understand, a dozen girls left you in the Friendzone, so you decided to go somewhere else to start over, he said with doubts. Hikari. Not me, brother, I only left them because he was gay, he said, correcting. Issei. Hey, it wasn't a dozen, there were only 7 or 8 to Takano, Yusaka, Serafal and Gabriel. I didn't ask him, he said a little upset and sad. Pandora. How pathetic, he said with a smile. Issei. The girl who is dressed as a maid says it, she said with a smile. Pandora just erased her smile and said. Pandora. Well, now that we have clarified this, I ask you not to say anything about our work, you know, because of the rumors and all that, she said. It would be her and a little embarrassed. Issei. No problem, well, Hikari has clarified the matter, let's go, she said to call her brother. Hikari only attended and got up to head towards the exit, but at that moment his cell phone rang. Hikari. Brother, I'll wait for you outside, okay, she said to run out of the place. Issei. Okay, and well, before leaving I just want to tell you something. Silence, you look very pretty in those uniforms, she said, looking from head to toe. Sayori. What do you mean by that? She said confused. Issei. Nothing important, we'll see you, she said to get out of there while she smiled. Pandora. Hey wait, she said, but Issei had already left. The 2 girls were a little confused but feeling a little joy. Outside the premises, Hikari was finishing talking on the phone, and when he hung up he had an incredibly happy face. Issei. Hey, why that face? What happened? Why so happy? I asked with many doubts. Hikari. Well, my name is Riaz, she told me that the Mayu and the Council of the Demonic World will promote me to Supreme Class Demon and will have a party in 3 days, and that they will also give me my own pawn pieces, she said with a big smile. Issei. Hey, congratulations, brother, she said, shaking hands and hugging Hikari. Hikari. Brother, I know you're going to say no, but you can go to the party, I know it will be hard for you to see the girls, but I wish you were there, she said, looking at her brother. Issei thought about it for a moment and said. Issei. Okay, but with 3 conditions, he said seriously. Hikari. Of course, which ones? I asked with doubts. Issei. First, I will be turned into Koragg all the time, second, I will not be a member of your family or one of your pieces, and third, if some idiot gets in my way wanting to fight, I won't fight, okay, he said seriously. Hikari. No problem for me, so can I count on you? He said seriously. Issei. Of course yes, she said with a smile. Hikari. Great. Issei. Well, let me take you to Ku, she said to go to an alley and say Sastos to disappear with her brother. A few hours later, Issei had left his brother near his old house and returned to his, while he thought about what he would do when the time came to see the women who hurt him. While in an unknown place, Sayori and Pandora were about to go to sleep until Sayori receives a message, and when she reads it, she is a little surprised. Sayori. Sister, a message came from our parents, she said she would be. Pandora. What happened? Sayori. It seems like they want us to attend a Securite party in 3 days and prepare them, she said it would be. Pandora. Great, I want to relax a little, she said with a smile. Sayori. Yes, me too, millimeters. He asked me if he will also attend, she said with curiosity and a blush. Pandora. Who knows, maybe, but it is very unlikely that the Wolf Knight will appear at that party, she said, a little sad. Sayori. But maybe he will appear, she said hopefully. Pandora. Yes, maybe, she said smiling. Chapter 4. The news that the Securite was going to be promoted to Supreme Class Demon spread throughout the underworld and throughout the supernatural, also ascending angers some demons. The reason is to give him the title, if taking the promotion exam that bothered more than one. The rumor also spread that the Wolf Knight or Koragg was at the party, causing many families, including the Mau, to be alert because many people or factions remain for Issei to join their ranks or engage him with one of their daughters. While everyone is preparing for the party and perhaps the arrival of Issei, in a place or cave in the land of dragons, a blue-haired girl headed there with a katana. Tiamat, you are here, I have information for you, about the Securite or rather about Drake, she said without emotion. Tiamat. What did you say? Azler said an annoying voice that was in the darkness. Azler. What, listening to you, I know where the Securite sister is, she said with a smile. Tiamat. Tell me what you know, she said as she came out of the darkness. A few days later, 3 hours before the Hyodo house party bathroom, the girl was getting ready while she was talking about certain things, especially about whether a certain brunette would appear. Asia. Do you think Issei-sen will appear at the party? She said as she put a towel around her waist. Roswius. I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if he had a girlfriend, she said sadly, while she soaked her breasts. Zenobia. It's impossible, he is the future father of our children. I don't think he'll set them up with another woman, she said while drying her hair. Irina. Asia. Irina, put on a towel, she said, shouting and running with a towel to cover her friend. Irina. I didn't realize that I didn't wear anything, she said screaming and blushing. In another part of the house. Riaz. Akeno, how do I look? She said while she was wearing a dress. Akeno. Riaz wants to find his little wolf, she said with a mischievous smile. Riaz. Of course not, besides I already asked for my chance with him, and you have no right to say anything with that dress, she said sad and angry. Akeno. It's true that I rejected him at the time, but it doesn't mean that he still doesn't have a chance, besides that in war and love everyone is worth it, right? She said while he looked in the mirror with a dress on. Riaz was left thinking about what Akeno said, why a year had already passed, and in that time there was no clue about him. She even tried to locate Akari with her pieces to perhaps locate Issei, but he somehow blocked her location, even. He kept going, but sometimes he was only left alone for hours, so he gave up in the end. She thought that Issei, even though she saw him as a friend, would not break their ties until she found a hidden letter just for her that said beautiful things about her and not about her body as she read many times from the academy boys. She just hopes that it's not too late. At the party, the girls had arrived at the party alone. Why did Akari come forward and come in a few minutes? When they arrived there were many more people who imagined why there were not only the leaders of the factions, but also some beings that they did not know in person, such as the elves who had never appeared but who decided to appear. There were 2 guards and among them was the queen or leader. Satella of the elf faction. Riaz went to talk to her brother about this matter and he said that she came to make an alliance with the factions but she wanted to meet the Securite first and he did not refuse. After a while it was time for the start of the main event when Akari, named Akari, had appeared in a violet magic circle where Akari came out and the one that everyone was looking for Koragg or Issei for some. Everyone was surprised that the 2 of them appeared together and more Pandora and Sayori who were among the guests. Akari and Koragg went up to the stage to give Akari the pawn pieces. Akari. I'm sorry for the delay, it's because I was busy, he said sadly. Surziches. Don't worry, arrived just on time and with a guest, he said, referring to Issei. After that he named Akari Supreme Class Demon and gave him pieces for his entourage. After that the party continued. The girls wanted to talk to Issei, but some people from noble families stood in their way, saying that they wanted to talk to him, that his family was very important, even women who offered him a more private place. That last one made a lot of people angry. The Gremory and others too. But Issei didn't care much that he was just eating or drinking until he felt that someone dangerous was coming. So with great speed he went with Akari and blocked the blue-haired girl's katana attack. Koragg. Issei. Who are you? He said as he made a retreat. Everyone in the room was shocked how someone could have entered without being detected. Azler. I am Azler, adoptive sister of Tiamat, and I come for Drake's head or his bearer, she said while looking angrily. Drake. Tiamat is here, he said scared. Akari. Drake, who is Tiamat? He said intrigued. Drake. Comrades, I recommend that you run, he said nervously. Azler. My sister will soon arrive, so I'm doing you a favor to die in my hands, he said with a serious tone. Koragg Issei. No offense, but it doesn't seem like you can do much, she said as she launched an attack with her sword that sent Issei against a table. Koragg Issei. Okay, there were two mistakes, mine and yours, he said angrily to attack CABALLERO, but he felt that something very powerful was approaching. Greg. Shit, it's already here. Koragg. Brother, you take care of the BlueNet, the leaders make a barrier to protect themselves and the guests, Kiba, Zenobia be the reinforcement only if there are more undesirable guests, and if Ikari loses, he said seriously and authoritatively. Ikari. And what will you do, brother? He said worried. Koragg Issei. Nothing important, just save your ass and defeat a dragon, he said to disappear and appears riding his horse Castratos towards his enemy. Satella. Interesting, he said with a mischievous smile. Chapter 5. After Issei left, Azali and Ikari were about to fight, but Satella spoke. Satella. Hey you two, Securitain girl with a long sword, before you kill each other, can I make a suggestion? Everyone present was watching the leader of the elves have what she was going to say, even Azali, who was interested in the elf suggestion because she had never seen an elf in her life, that's why she wanted to know what kind of suggestion. Had Satella. First, primordial vision, she said, so that suddenly several screens appeared where Koragg was seen riding his Catastro horse, going towards where Tiamat was. Everyone saw it in amazement, it was like watching a ranton game, but they were very far away. Satella. My suggestion is, let's see the fight between the Wolf Knight Koragg and your sister the Dragon Tiamat, or do you prefer to miss that fight and fight the Securitate? Choose. Azali could fight the Securitate, but she never saw her sister fight, so she agreed to watch the fight. Thus all the Mao looked at the screen, and some began to place bets, while they watched the screen for the fight that would come. Well, with Issei, while galloping towards where the dragon was supposed to come, Tiamat wondered if it was a good idea to say her identity, because Sayori and Pandora were there, and it would be a problem that she would have to solve, in addition to the other underworld families, but she decided to focus on the fight. Issei Koragg. Well, where is that crazy dragon? At that moment he saw a blue dragon in the distance. Issei Koragg. Ah, there's this, he said to get off the hills and go towards the dragon. When she was in front of Tiamat, Issei caught her attention by launching a weak attack causing her to react. Tiamat. Who did that? Looking towards where Koragg was. Issei Koragg. Listen to Dragon Tiamat, I am the brother of Securitate, the Wolf Knight Koragg. If you want my brother, you will have to step over me. Tiamat. Okay, she said and then released her dragon breath. Issei used his shield to resist the attack, after that he counterattacked. Issei Koragg. Wolf attacked to launch an attack that hit Tiamat squarely. Tiamat. Not bad, but that's not enough to hurt me. Issei Koragg. Then I will be a little hard on you, she said to run at super speed. Issei hit Tiamat while dodging her attacks, causing annoyance to the dragon. Tiamat. Damn mosquito, he said as he pleased Issei Koragg and crushed him to the ground. Issei tried to resist the weight of the dragon with his second arm, but she was too heavy, and he said, Tiamat. That's all he has, you're a weakling after all, nothing important to anyone, and when I'm done with you, I'll go after your idiot brother, he said while mocking. When Issei heard that, he got angry, he knew that he was always treated as a weakling, and that he was nothing special, and many would look for him for his power, but something he couldn't stand was that his brother was made fun of, because that was his job. So he used all his power and strength to shake off Tiamat's paw and hit her on the chin, sending her falling from her swords. Issei Koragg. You shouldn't underestimate me, dragon, or you'll regret it, he said, looking at Tiamat face up. Tiamat got angry at the hit, so he decided to stop playing and get serious. Issei Koragg. I see, so you decided to put yourself on, then I will do the same. Centauro Whirl Megazord, he said, so that suddenly lands appeared and Koragg grew and merged. Tiamat launched an attack, but Issei didn't even turn around, so he counterattacked from 014 to 027 then said, Issei Koragg. Who is the weak one now? You will never be able to defeat the power of mystical magic that I have, he said to return to his normal form. While he said that, everyone who was watching the fight was surprised at how powerful this Koragg was, and also about that new form. Some families were already planning how to unite him with their family, while the Mayu were thinking about what he said about the power of mystical magic. They had never heard of her and thought she might be an old faction, and they would have to ask her about it until they noticed that the screens had disappeared, and so had Satella. Then they realized. Surziches. Riaz, you and your entourage go to Issei now, he said after removing the barrier. Riaz and his entourage disappeared through a magic circle, followed by Ikari and Azali, who was worried about her sister. With Issei had transformed into his normal form and was resting a little. Why was he still not used to using the Centaur World Megazord? Because of the enormous power to use, so he went to a rock and sat down and thought about resting until he heard applause. Satella. Good fighting, Wolf Knight. Issei. What are you doing here, and my name is Issei. Satella. That's not the way to talk to a lady. Issei. You didn't answer my question and let it be brief. Why am I tired and exhausted of people who want me to join their family? Satella. I don't come for that, but to join the elven faction. Issei. And what is the difference? Satella. Oh, well, I can give you certain benefits, she said with a flirtatious smile. Issei. Look, what do you offer? Satella. Well. Before Satella could say anything, the Gremory group appeared, and so did Ikari and Azli. Ikari. Brother, are you okay? Issei. Yes, I'm fine, thanks for asking. Riaz. Issei, she said to hug him. Issei felt uncomfortable because of that and tried to free himself, but he didn't know how. Well, the others became jealous because of that, but at that moment feeling a great power that belonged to Tiamat. Then Issei freed himself from Ria's grip and prepared to fight again, but instead of a dragon, a very beautiful woman appeared with a pretty figure very similar to Ria's. Tiamat human form. Tiamat. Hello my love, he said with a tender smile. Issei. What? Confused. Riaz. What? Jealous. The other girls. What? Shocked. Azli. What? Surprised. Ikari. Nani. Everyone looked at Ikari. Ikari. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist, he said while laughing underneath. Satella. This just got funnier, he said while smiling. Chapter 6. After Tiamat confessed saying love to Issei, all the girls there were surprised and angry, then Issei decided to ask why he told her that. Issei. Well, now that we calmed them down a little or so I think I can. Why are you telling me my love, if a few minutes ago you wanted to rip my head off? He said a little confused. Tiamat. I said my love, not my love, and why will you be the future father of our children, she said blushing and with a smile. Issei was shocked, but before he said anything someone else spoke. Zenobia. Wait a minute, he's going to become the father of my children, she said, taking out her sword. Issei. Millimeters, I thought the first one to say something would be Riaz. Tiamat. Yes, of course, a weakling like you will be his wife. Ha, don't make me laugh, a man like him needs a real woman, not some spoiled girls, he said to Zenobia and the other girls who responded. Irina. Issei was my childhood friend, so I know him more than anyone else, and he still has feelings for me, he said he will decide. Asia. Issei saw me naked and never did anything indecent. Why she respects me as a woman for that, she said, while she thinks of something to say. Kaneko. Senpai likes cat so he is mine. Akeno. Ara, you are all wrong, my Issei likes ready and dominant women, I know it very well, she said blushing. Roswis. Listen, Issei is not a piece of meat, everyone had a chance and they fired her, and as her teacher, I am more mature than all of you, she said, and then blushed. Riaz. Listen to all of you, how his leader ordered you not to attack Issei, why he was my pawn, and I am the only one who can have a close relationship with him, she said with authority. They were all angry and were about to complain, but someone got ahead of them, and that was Tiamat, who said, Tiamat. You have no authority over my Gremory, and as you said, he was your pawn, so he is free from your hands, so he is free to do whatever he wants, that includes having a girlfriend, so get out of my way before you turn into ashes, girl, he said with a smile. Riaz, upon hearing that, raised her power of destruction and Tiamat raised her dragon power, but before anything could happen, a voice called them. Satella. Before they kill each other, don't you notice that someone is missing? She said with a smile that made him almost laugh. Riaz, Tiamat and the others looked at the hairdeer and saw nothing out of place except one thing, or rather someone who was not there, that was Issei and Ikari who had fled. While in another place, Issei. Koragg. Let's go Castatros faster, she said while riding. Ikari. Brother, run away from problems, don't solve things, she said as she flew with the propellers of her crimson armor. After that, feeling a huge power that was heading towards them. Ikari. But looking at it another way, it's good exercise for Castatros, he said with fear. Azler. I recommend you teleport before my sister hunts you, she said with a smile, while he was with Issei hugging him on top of Castatros. Issei was going to say that when he got on, but he left it for later and used his magic circle to teleport with Ikari and Azler. After that, the three of them were in the chestnut tree's apartment sitting having tea and they started talking. Azler. So this is your home, millimeters, I thought it would be bigger, she said disappointed seeing how small it was. Issei. Hey, it's the best I can pay, with my part-time job, she said annoyed. Azler. Seriously, I didn't know that the wolf works and what your work is about, he said. Issei. A little of everything, you know how contracts, although a little less strange, he said half seriously and also thought. Ikari. Brother, what are you going to do now? The whole supernatural world will know your identity, now they will look for you even in the human world, he said seriously and then drank his tea. Issei. I don't know, but I'll have to be more alert from now on, he said seriously. Ikari. You know you can ask me for help, right? He said seriously and worried. Azler. Me too, even though I don't know you too well, he seems like a good guy, she said with a smile. Issei. That reminds me why you followed me, she said, you tried to kill my brother, and I think you also tried to kill me, she said, looking at the girl. Azler. That's the past, she said seriously. Issei. Sighed I guess, well since you're here you want to stay and eat, I'll make lasagna she said with a smile. Asler and Ikari. Lasagna. Issei. Yes lasagna. Ikari. Since when do you know how to cook Italian food? He said confused. Issei. Well I learned, why was I bored he said while remembering. Flashback. Issei. Well after 2 months of Italian cooking classes and 2 weeks of preparation, I have everything ready to tell Asia, Irina and Zenobia my feelings, cook church food or so I think, I don't know if they eat lasagna, but I have nothing to lose by trying he said to himself. After preparing the table with a romantic touch, he waited for the girls, but received a message saying that they would not go because they had won movie tickets that they can save the food for another day, something that made Issei sad, but he responded that it was fine. After that he put out the candles, put away the plates that were porcelain and other more romantic things, after that he ate some of the lasagna and went to sleep. End of flashback. After remembering that Issei went to cook the food and after a few minutes after eating Ikari and Asler said that it was delicious, after that they each went their own way. After that Issei received a phone call with an unknown number. The next day, Issei was in the park sitting on a bench when 2 people he knew found him. Issei. Sayori, Pandora, what are you doing here? He said surprised a little. Sayori. You know why we come he said it would be. Pandora. Do you want to talk here or somewhere else she said calmly. Issei. Just talk and I don't want to know your life story he said tiredly. Pandora. I will speak, we want you to recover something that was stolen from our family she said seriously. Issei. And why should I do it and not you? Do you have goddess powers or not? Pandora. Why can't we get into trouble for our family and we will also pay you, our father and mother agree, he said coldly. Issei. Okay and what do I have to get back? Pandora. It's a chest, you have to go and bring it for us in a certain place after that we will pay you. Issei. Millimeters okay but the first half in advance and in cash and the second after finishing the work. Pandora. Okay we will send you the information tomorrow and on Labor Day okay. Issei. Well when I receive the information I will tell you how much he said seriously. After that Issei went home to prepare for the mission and also go to the supermarket to buy something for dinner. After doing that Issei went to his house to wait for the mission, but 2-headed figures stopped him. Are you Hyodo Issei or better known as Koragg? Said a male voice. Issei stepped back to transform and said. Issei Koragg. Yes I am he said while he points his sword. Humming we just came to talk to you and tell you about the girls Pandora and Sayori said a female voice. Issei Koragg. And why should I listen to what he has to say? Maybe this will give you more confidence in our word she said to take off her hood and her partner did the same and Issei when he saw her said. Issei Koragg. But what the hell he said surprised. After that a few days had passed. After talking to the subjects, Issei went to his house where he received the mission data and the first payment. After that, he went to the mission location, which was a cave full of traps, and stole the chest that was closed and took it to the assigned place which was a forest where Sayori and Pandora were. Pandora. Well, it was time for you to arrive, he said, it would be. Issei Koragg. The place where you sent me was a crow full of traps he said angrily. Sayori. Of course, we would never get our hands dirty for this job he said with a sarcastic smile. Issei Koragg. I see, he just used me all the time right and his maid job was also a lie, right? Pandora. Don't remind me of that damn job, I will have to serve others, we who are girls of the high class she said with arrogance. Sayori. Yes, just for disrespecting any maid, she said with disgust in her voice. Issei Koragg. As I thought, they are 2 poorly raised brats, but it doesn't matter, give them the other half of what was agreed and I will give them the chest, said Ardo of the 2. Pandora. I don't think so she said to take out a trident and hit it against the ground where some types of black shadows came out. Sayori. I present to you the dark shadow, artificial supernatural beings, they are not pretty, attack, she said to order Issei to be eliminated. Dark shadow. Issei Koragg fought against 8 of those things that were almost invincible, but after using almost all of her strength, he eliminated 3 of the creatures. Sayori and Pandora took the chest and fled. Issei Koragg tried to chase them, but one of the creatures sent him flying with a blow, and when he tried to get up, 5 of the dark shadows had surrounded him, but when he thought he was in trouble, a male voice spoke. The cavalry arrived he said to destroy room dark shadow, otherwise you would be fried said a female voice. Issei Koragg. I would have killed all of that thing, but I was tired, but thanks anyway Shadow Ranger and Cat Ranger he said thanking his colleagues. Shadow Ranger, Hate Ranger, Shadow Ranger. Don't worry, we also have a gift for you he said to show him a bag of money. Hat Ranger. Some guys tried to steal it from your apartment. Issei Koragg. Thank you and by the way I already caught that too. Shadow Ranger. If they fell into the trap very easily, when they opened the chest it released a sound gas that made them faint. Issei Koragg. I see, I'm glad you told me, but what will you do with them? Hat Ranger. Since they are minors we will take them to their parents and then they will receive their punishment it would be. Issei Koragg. Before you leave I have one last question, what the hell was in the chest? Shadow and Cat Ranger. We don't know. Issei Koragg. Huh. Shadow Ranger. When we opened the chest to see if its contents were there, a light blinded us and then disappeared like a shooting star. Cat Ranger. The only thing we know is that what there was something very powerful and valuable, and Sayori and her sister Pandora wanted to give it to her father to return to her old life of luxury. Issei Koragg. I understand, well thank you for everything, and will we see you again? Shadow Ranger. After handing over the Sayori sisters probably, goodbye Wolf Knight said to disappear. Cat Ranger. See you soon okay she said, making a sign of love and peace and disappear. Issei Koragg. Well, I have money and a new friend, I think I deserve a new house, but he still asked me what was in that chest, well, maybe I'll never know, he said to himself. While in another part of Japan, an orange-haired boy is sitting near a river, thinking that almost everyone had abandoned him because his emotions were unclear. But suddenly a kind of light fell from the sky near him, and when he went to see what fell he saw a very strange sword. And when he touches it he sees that in front of him appears a man with armor that says, I'm Magna Defender, who are you? He said with an authoritative voice. Why I'm Yuuki Ito sir he said with a little fear. I'm Defender. Well Yuuki Ito, you will be my events he said seriously. Ito. Huh. Chapter 7. After Sari and Pandora said goodbye thanks to Issei, the entire high school hates him, the reason being that he had left a message that he had ratted them out for trying to have a party with alcohol or something like that, which made their parents transfer them to Europe to a deformator, or that was the version of the official story. In reality Issei knew the truth about Sari and Pandora, after her failed plan her parents decided that she would be better off in a special warp that, according to what he knew, left problematic girl submissive, as he did not know and did not want to find out. The bad thing is that they not only spread that rumor, they also told the girls where Issei was, but luckily he had already escaped from the place, but before leaving he wanted to see who arrived at his old residence. The ones who arrived were Riaz and her entourage, only the girls, then Tiamat, also Sikvaria Agares, which Issei thought was because of her gelding horse and Megazord, but which Issei did not expect to see Sona Citri and Tsubaki Shinra, the former members of the Kuo Student Council. And with very nice clothes, not to mention exciting. Then he decided to leave Hay to his new home that he had bought with the money he had gotten. Issei's new house. Now that he had his own house, he would soon finish high school and go to university. He wasn't sure what to do with his life, that is, he had a lot of time before choosing a career, but he already began to miss the company of a girl by his side, even if he didn't. He had a girlfriend, at least he had someone to talk to, so he decided after finishing high school, which would be in a few days, to look for a girlfriend or a companion. This is how time passed. Issei was going to high school and had passed all the tests, so he called his brother to tell her the good news. Issei. Hey brother, I have good news, I'll wait for you at Kuo Park he said happily on the phone. Ikari. Okay, brother, we see it there he also said happily on the other side of the phone. After a while the brothers met and talked about their upcoming high school graduation and among other things, until Issei decided to tell him about his decision. Issei. Brother, I decided to move forward he said sitting on a bench. Ikari. In what? He said curious and sitting next to Issei. Looking for a partner he said determinedly. Ikari. Brother, are you sure why I friends in you half a school in Kuo and some were not human he said worriedly. Issei. Thank you for reminding me of that he said annoyed and discouraged. Ikari. What I'm saying is that you haven't had any luck in love and also that some girls are looking for you he said seriously. Issei. First I won't go out with them because they only look for me for power apparently, according to that I can't always be repressed and alone, I would like to be with someone who appreciates me, I say I also need someone and thirdly, I don't want to be as virgin as you, if you offend said Tranquillo. Ikari. I understand, but let me tell you that girls, I don't think it's by power that they look for you, and I'm still glad that you're looking for a partner, be careful, you don't know who you'll meet, besides, who said that I'm a virgin if I have a boyfriend he said calmly and with a triumphant smile. Issei. What? Ikari. What you heard, I have a boyfriend he said calmly and happily. Issei. Who? When? As? He said to process all the information. Ikari began to tell him about his boyfriend whose name was Edward Akara, that they met in a cafe, they became friends quickly, then they went out, and that he was a sorcerer. Edward Akara Ikari pawned 4 pieces. Also, since it was his first time and he agreed with Ikari's harem plan, something Issei didn't know, he asked, and Akari told him that he wanted to form a mini harem, which Issei understood and wished him luck. When they got up to leave a blonde girl stood in front of them and said, Hello Issei, it's been a while she said with a smile. Issei. Excuse me, do we know you? He said, looking closely at the girl with crystalline blue eyes. Hey, did you forget about me? I'm Gabriel, he said, staring at Issei with a smile. Gabriel Archangel Seraphim. Issei realized after I told him that, why he looked a little different, but to be sure he told him that he will take out his wings, and he did so by showing his power and 12 white wings for a moment. Issei. "Gabriel, how long and what are you doing here?" he said, happy to see her. Gabriel. "Well, you see, it's not very embarrassing, it's just that you ask me," she said, embarrassed. Ikari. "Well Issei, I'll leave you alone, I have things to do," she said with a smile to leave. Issei. "What?" he said confused. Ikari approached Gabriel and whispered in his ear. Ikari. "My brother is looking for company, so good luck," she said in Gabriel's ear and left there. Gabriel blushed and inwardly smiled why he was with Issei alone, but he quickly regained his composure. Issei. What the hell happened to him? He had just bought tickets for the movie, but well, Gabriel, how did you get lost? He said, annoyed and worried. Gabriel. Yeah, well I was looking for a store where they sold the latest volume of a manga that had come out, but I got lost, here's the address, he said to give her a piece of paper. Issei. I see, reading the paper curious, it's just before arriving at the cinema, she said with a smile. Gabriel. Really? He said happily. Issei. Hey Gabriel, how about we go get your volume of the manga and then to the movie, she said with a smile. Gabriel nodded and Issei took her arm to go to that place, but in the distance a Nakamata was scratching a tree with her nails at the same time Issei of her with another woman was Kuroka. Kuroka. Bitch Archangel, I'm ahead of me, but this won't stay like this, she said while taking out a cell phone from her chest and dialing Gremory and Citri group to send her a group message that Issei has a date with Gabriel, while in another place with Ikari he had received Kuroka's message. Ikari. Millimeters, this is going to get ugly, I have to tell Issei, she said when she received Kuroka's message, but before doing anything about her, she received a message from her boyfriend, Edward. I have a house alone. Ikari. Well that's life, good luck brother, she said to disappear in a magic circle. Chapter 8. While Issei and Gabriel were going to her destination, Issei received a message from an unknown number saying that some girls were going to try to interrupt their date. Issei was confused why she knew it wasn't Ikari for two reasons: one, he had her number, and the second, he was probably amused or didn't care much about that situation. After that he explained to Gabriel that maybe the girls who were looking for him would try to ruin his date, he doesn't care, and he took Issei by the arm while smiling. Somewhere else, Ikari was arriving at her boyfriend's house but felt a dangerous presence there, so she activated her balance breaker and entered Edward's house. When she entered she saw her dead boyfriend and a very strange guy with a fan who looked like a mummy. So you are the Sekiryuite Shiha, she said with a smile. Ikari. Who the hell are you and what have you done? He said angrily. Oh, I'm sorry for my manners, I'm a pleasure to be Imperious, he said calmly. Imperious. Ikari. Who sent you to do this? He said seriously and angry. Imperious. Millimeters, why don't you find out, he said mockingly. Ikari, angry, attacked Imperious with his balance breaker, but before he could attack, he fell into a magic circle that trapped him and was immobilized, and before he knew what was happening, someone he knew appeared in front of him. This was Edward. Edward. Well, that was too easy, he said with a smile. Ikari. Edward, it's impossible, you are, he said to see his corpse that is on the ground, but it had disappeared. Edward. Truly surprised that an illusion was so real, he said with a smile. Ikari was shocked and wanted an explanation of what was happening, but before asking Edward he spoke again. Edward. You look confused, well I will explain to you, the leaders of the factions or some are afraid of your power and your brother, together you could maybe dominate a faction if you wanted, so you decided that you had to be eliminated, he said seriously and with a smile. Ikari. I would never hurt anyone and even less would they want to conquer a faction, he said seriously. Edward. Maybe not today, but tomorrow or the next day, supernatural beings are like humans, they are afraid of the unknown, in addition to that prophecy, he said seriously. Ikari. What prophecy? He said confused. Imperious. I will explain to you, according to a prophecy, the wolf and the dragon will join forces, bringing a new warrior who will fight for justice alongside the heroes of mystical legends, he said seriously. Ikari. And what do you have to do with that? He said seriously. Imperious. I don't care about you at all, but I do care about you, brother, why would he be the wolf and you only the bearer of the dragon, maybe so a small alliance with him, he said seriously. Edward. Well, it was a lot of beating, it's time to take off your sacred gear, he said to use a spell and start, take Drag off. In 2 minutes he had taken Drag from Ikari and he had fallen to the floor. Ikari. Damn broad, he said while trying to get up. Edward. Well it's time to end this, see you never Aksekiryu, he said before freezing. Imperious. What did this do? He said annoyed. And out of nowhere a person in a white suit and a staff appeared. Imperious. You, it's impossible, what are you doing here, White Ranger, he said angrily. White Ranger. WR. I won't let you kill him, Imperious, and achieve your plan, he said it would be. Imperious decided to kill Edward by breaking him into 1,000 pieces, take Drag and escape. WR decided to help Ikari, who was weak, lifting him up and using a magic circle they transported themselves to a safe place. Well, with Issei and Gabriel were having their date normally, you could say, even though they were being spied on. Kuroka, Akeno, Asia, Tiamat, Kaneko, Irina and Zenobia were hiding not very well, and some people looked at them strangely, but they decided to ignore them and continue with their business. Matters, because of the hateful looks they had. Issei was happy with his date, but he felt that something happened to his brother, he felt it in his heart. Well, he thought that. Gabriel spoke. Gabriel. Is something wrong, Issei? She said, worried. Issei. I'm sorry, Gabriel, I have a bad feeling that doesn't leave me alone, she said sadly. Gabriel. What bad thought? She said, worried. Issei. As if something had happened to my brother, he said sadly. Before Gabriel said anything, Satella had appeared in front of them too. Satella. Hi Odo, Issei, we have to talk, he said it would be. Issei. Satella, what are you doing here? He said, surprised. Satella. There is no time to explain, your brother was attacked, she said seriously. Issei had been shocked and Gabriel wiped his mouth at the news. Satella. Come with me, he said it would be. Issei followed her and Gabriel to an alley. The other girls did not know what was happening, except for Tiamat, who with her dragon hearing, heard everything, and when they ran to chase them, they had left her disappeared. Somewhere else. Issei, Gabriel and Satella had appeared in a place where Ikari was in a chair drinking something hot and in front of him a woman in a white suit and a stick. Issei. Ikari, are you okay? He said, worried. Ikari. Brother. Damn, I'm sorry to interrupt your date, even though I don't think I got to kiss him, he said jokingly. Issei. Apparently, the attack didn't take away your sense of humor, he said, a little relieved. WR. So you are the Sekiryute's brother, it's a pleasure to meet you, Costmine said. Issei. And who are you? He said, confused. Ikari. Brother, she was the one who saved my ass, he said with a smile while drinking the liquid. Issei. I see, thank you very much for saving my brother, miss, he said without knowing her name. WR. Oh, excuse my manners, let me introduce myself, she said to deactivate her suit. Issei was surprised why the girl was identical to Satella, but with different clothes and hairstyle. WR. Let me introduce myself, I am Emilia, sister of the leader of the elves Satella and White Ranger of Ice and Snow, he said with a smile. Emilia White Ranger. Chapter 9. After Emilia introduced herself as Satella's sister and Issei spoke to her brother and asked what had happened. Ikari told him about Edward's betrayal, about Imperius and the factions, his fear, and the prophecy he had of the two of them. Issei was angry and was going to the underworld and send everything to hell, but Gabriel stops him. Gabriel. Issei, I know you're angry, but before doing anything you have to know if what Edward and that guy called Imperius said was true or a trick, he said, trying to calm Issei down. Ikari. You're right, brother, for now you should calm down a little, he said calmly. Issei. Brother, they attacked you, they betrayed you, they took your partner away from you, and they almost killed you, why are you so calm, he said confused and annoyed. Ikari. First, even though I was betrayed, I'm still alive. Second, I can't do anything now, and third, I'm too tired to go fight against all the factions, and so are you, and you don't know who betrayed us, he said calmly and drinking his hot drink. Issei. It bothers me that you take everything so calmly, he said while sighing. Gabriel. I should go, I mean I'm from the Los Angeles faction, and maybe they think I'm an enemy, she said a little nervous. Issei. Oh yes, I'm sorry Gabriel, I think I ruined our date, he said apologizing. Gabriel. Don't worry, I had a lot of fun, he said with a smile. Emilia. I will take her to another place so that she can go to heaven, she said it would be. Issei thanked and Emilia formed a magic circle that would transport them to another place so that Gabriel could return home, but first Gabriel asked Issei for something. Gabriel. Issei, can I ask for something? She said sadly. Issei. Yes, of course, what did you want? He said calmly. Gabriel. Look over there, he said, pointing to a wall. Issei looked at the wall and when he was going to ask what he had to look at, Gabriel gave him a quick kiss and went into the magic circle to disappear, leaving a confused Issei and Satella and Ikari with a mischievous smile. Ikari. Smiling, you have them lining up, brother, he said jokingly. Issei. Close your mouth, he said annoyed and blushing. Satella. Well, I guess now that you are here and Angel is gone, I would like to introduce you to the mystical mother, he said with a smile. Ikari and Issei. Who? They said in unison. While in another place, Imperius had arrived at a place where he saw them and said, Imperius. Here they are, I knew they were somewhere, but I lack power to revive the master, but I know where to get it, he said, while taking out a green sphere. After that, Imperius did a ritual where he turned Drake into a monstrous creature. Imperius. Go destroy the underworld and then the human world, he said as they looked at him with a smile. While with Issei and Ikari. Issei and Ikari had arrived at a temple that was all white where Satella had introduced them to a woman in white clothes, according to Satella, who was the most powerful magician of the supernatural, the mystical mother. Mystical mother. Mystique. I was waiting for you, brother Hyodo, she said with a smile. Issei. Did you know us? He said confused. Mystique. I know almost everything about you and I know many things. That reminds me, it's better that you leave, the underworld is in danger, she said to show him how a dragon was destroying a city in the underworld. Issei. What the buck is that? He said, worried and a little scared. Mystic. That doesn't matter now, I will send you with my magic to the battlefield, are you ready, she said it would be. Issei. Yes, she said, to transform into Koragg. After that he was transported to the battlefield to stop Drake monster, while Ikari stayed there with Satella and the mystic mother who said, Well, I guess, well, your brother takes care of that problem. I have to make you a proposal, Hyodo Ikari, he said, smiling and looking at Ikari directly. In Underworld, Issei had appeared transformed into Koragg and transformed into the Centrotter World Megazord and began the fight. Issei attacked the dragon with force and it responded in the same way. The fight was even, but Issei began to feel tired and weak until he realized that he was fighting on a magic circle that was placed by Imperius, who was looking into the distance. Imperius. If you spend all your energy with that, it will revive the master, he said to himself. Issei was going to try to destroy the circle, but the dragon gave him a tail blow that sent him flying, leaving him on the ground very weak. Then the dragon was about to attack him again, but suddenly someone had attacked the dragon, and he saw a red Megazord, and next to him a unicorn. Issei. Shit, that blow is making me see something or it's drugging me, he said jokingly. Ikari. Brother, and come help, he said seriously. Issei. Ikari. What the hell he was going to say, but a roar stopped him from asking. Ikari. I'll tell you later, come on, Brystar, he said to get on and transform. After Ikari had defeated the monster, he returned to normal, and Issei followed him, and on the ground Issei asked, Issei. Brother, what the hell was that? It was incredible and you copied my style, he said smiling. Ikari. Well, you'll see, he said to start counting. Flash black. Ikari. What proposal? He said seriously. Be a Power Rangers, he said it would be. Ikari. Power Rangers? He said confused. Satella. I will explain it to you quickly. As you know, science says that there can be time travel in multiverses. Well, a long time ago a man called Lord Draken came to this universe, who gave us a power to protect this world that had become evil. Very great that he left us some articles here, so that the chosen ones can defend this world. Those chosen ones will be called Power Rangers, he said it would be. Ikari. Wait, are you saying I'm one of those chosen ones? He said seriously and confused. It seems that way, we thought it was your brother, but the special object reacted to you, he said he would be. Ikari. What object? He said curious. Then I showed him a kind of cell phone. Mystical morpher. Ikari. It's a phone, he said seriously and discouraged. Then touch it and let's see what happens, he said seriously and with a smile. Ikari with fear took the morpher and a lot of information passed through his mind until he fell to his knees. Satella. Are you okay, she said, worried about the boy. Ikari. Yes, I'm fine, that was incredible, he said surprised. So you can transform into a Power Rangers? She said it would be. Ikari. I should know that, yes, after all you also know the truth of this power, she said with a smile. Mother Mystica smiled and said, Well, now go help your brother, then we will talk about something else, she said to open a portal to where Issei. End of Black Flash. Ikari. And that's all, she said with a smile. Issei. Wow, and I thought he was the only one, he said surprised. Then suddenly a green sphere flies towards Issei and gets inside him, turning his armor red. Ikari. Nice color, red is your color, he said jokingly. Issei. Great, what was missing, he said annoyed. Chapter 10. After Issei and Ikari defeated that dragon and talked about Ikari's new power, they discovered that Dragar inside Issei, and that turned his armor into a crimson red color. Mother Mystic also told Ikari that he would have to look for the other members of the mystical force to defend the world from evil, and for that he will have to travel the world, but he will not do it alone. Emilia will accompany him on his trip. Ikari accepted with just that mission, and Issei supports him, even though he won't be able to accompany him. After that Issei and Ikari went to talk to the leaders who were in a meeting at that time. There Issei told them everything about the ranger and other things, also saying that he abandoned the factions together with his brother, why he couldn't trust them. No one from the factions. That surprised the leaders, who tried to convince him that he would not leave the factions, but Ikari confirmed what his brother said and left the room together. After that, a week passed where each of them finished high school, and Issei invited his parents and brother to a party to celebrate, but before that he had another date with Gabriel, where they formed a relationship as boyfriends. At the party there was Issei, Gabriel, Ikari, Emilia, Issei and Ikari's parents, Kiba and his girlfriend Azler, something that surprised Issei and Ikari, why they thought Kiba was from the other side. Kiba told Issei that Riaz and the other girls will leave him alone for a month because they know about his relationship with Gabriel and almost losing his brother, but I don't know that they will give up and be part of his harem. That made Issei's head hurt and made the others laugh. After that the party was quiet. After that Issei's parents and Ikari went to his house accompanied by Gabriel, Kiba and Azler, also left together since they lived together apparently. Then Ikari and Issei were alone outside the house and started talking about the future. Ikari. And brother, what university will you go to? He said while looking at the stars. Issei. I don't know, I hadn't thought about that, maybe I'll go to Cal, it's closer to me and you brother he said curiously. Ikari. I will travel the world to look for the other rangers, then I will take a year off he said calmly. I think this can help you said a voice behind Ikari and Issei. Issei and Ikari quickly walked away from where they were and transformed and saw a guy in a Power Ranger's suit. Issei. Who are you? He said on guard. Bracken. I'm a Power Ranger and I'm just here to leave this to the Red Ranger he said to take out a basket with an egg. Ikari. For me? He said confused. Bracken. It is a dragon egg, called Heart of Fire, take care of it with pride now goodbye my other brother he said to disappear in a light. After that the two brothers were confused, but they only knew one thing that something big was coming soon, and they had to be ready, the bad thing was that they didn't know what. Epilogue. Somewhere Imperius was using all the magic he had stolen from Issei and Drake to use on the Master's Rest. After doing that, the challenges disappeared, forming a kind of portal where you could see a giant eye. Imperius. The master lives hahaha this world will be coordinated by him and no one will stop it hahaha he said while laughing maniacally. End of the epilogue. Issei Koragg will return, coming soon. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching, if you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day bye.